First you take your oil ring, and that's basically your middle one, and you're going to put that on first. And if you're doing Honda spec, follow the Hondas as far as the gapping. We have our own way we've been using for a long time that works great, but again, it's this kind of thing is, you know, the biggest thing is you don't want rings with gaps lined up on top of each other. You want them offset, preferably 120 degrees. Because the cylinder is on its side, we prefer to keep the gaps on the side and on the top so that oil doesn't run by it. But again, it's personal preference, but we're just showing you how we do it. So you put on the oil ring first, and I like to put my finger on it so that while you're shoving in the top and bottom rings, it doesn't pop out. And once you've tried this before, you'll see what I'm talking about. Do your bottom one next. And again, don't force it. Always be gentle. You don't want to bend these things. And your bottom oil ring should be the opposite. For us, again, personal preference. Ours, we like it on the opposite because the last thing you want is these oil rings to line up. And then your top oil ring, you want it at least 120 degrees offset from the other one. In other words, gaps are like this on a 360 degree circle, not like this or on top of each other. So now we got the big one over here, the two gaps on the sides, and the next will be the ring number 2. It's always a good idea to double check these more than once. You may think you have the right order and then you throw it on there and you were wrong. Many times as we've done these, we still double and triple check them. Make sure the words are always facing up if there's any writing on it. And this makes install a lot easier. And then, so ring 2 is facing this way. We got ring 1 facing the opposite. And this is important. Take the rings and pinch just the top ones, not the oil. You don't want to rotate the oil. Take them and pinch them a little bit and spin the piston. They should freely spin in there. If they don't, or if they're stuck, that means you didn't sand down that enough and you need to take a little bit more sandpaper or diamond pad to it. But they should freely float in there. Same thing with the bottom 3, but you want to make sure that the oil rings get put back to where they were supposed to be. Same thing with the top ones, but basically just making sure everything's good. So now that you've got the rings and they're all in the right position, next thing you want to do is lube. As we always learn, lube is good. Lube is your friend. We use this anti-seize Moly graphite assembly lube. If you can't find this, it's at like every AutoZone, Pet Boys Advanced Auto, wherever you can order on Amazon. So put a little bit of daub on the skirts, a little bit in the pinhole, and you're basically going to spread that stuff on. Do not shove it into your oil ports. You may get a little in there, it's not a big deal, but don't put big old gobs in it. That's not good. Obviously, this stuff will eventually burn off, but what you're trying to do is prevent your initial installation of piston to cylinder from being bare. That's really bad. It takes a minute for the oil to get up and everywhere, and meanwhile the piston's gone up and down 1,000 plus times. So having the lube on there ahead of time is definitely a good thing. Make sure you're only lubing from the bottom of the rings down. You do not go up into the cylinder area. You do not go above the rings. You don't go on the rings. You're only doing the skirt and the pinhole. And you don't need to do underneath here. There's no friction. Nothing's getting rubbed on there. So now that we got that all lubed up, next thing we like to do is take, it's just motor oil, but we got this little bottle of the dropper on it, and lube up the cylinder. You don't have to go crazy, but it's a good idea. Again, your cylinder is probably going to be bare dry or a little bit of assembly grease from whoever honed it, but lube that up nice and good. And then you can do it one of two ways. Old school is you just stick it in there, take a little a popsicle stick or something soft and just work the rings till you get it in there. That's nothing wrong with that. We actually custom fabricated our own little, we couldn't find one, we searched everywhere, custom made our own little ring compression tool, which is just slightly tapered, and it basically allows the rings to get pushed close, and it's exactly a perfect machine finish on the bottom so that we can just pop it into the top. And you basically just one smooth move, you go whoosh, and push it all down in there. The other option, usually there'll be a taper on the bottom, sometimes it's easier to push up from the bottom. It's just personal preference, and there's also like again eBay, Amazon, little ring compression tools that you can get where you turn a little crank and it crushes them down. We've used those, but they overlap and they leave a lot of gap. If you can't get one of these, then just do it by hand, slowly putting it in there and working the rings in there. But the biggest thing is do not jam it in there, don't shove it in there, don't bend a ring. If you bend a ring, especially coming in from the bottom, if you bend a ring or pinch it, you better start all over again, because there is no coming back. Once you've damaged a ring, pinched it, cut it, or bent it, it's it. I mean, sure, you can try to do it, but it'll last a little bit and it'll crap out. So make sure you do this and do it right. This is probably one of the most important things, is obviously assembling this. Now, obviously, some of our kits come with it already assembled, but most of them you're going to have to do it yourself. So just make sure you do it right. We actually made this custom plunger that just goes and smack it in there. Just don't force it in there. Just take your time and do it right. And that's it. And it should be a nice snug fit, but not too crazy hard. And obviously now it's ready to put, you're basically going to slide it all the way to the bottom, and then you're going to go ahead and put your pin in there once you get it on the motor going through your con rod. But basically that's how you assemble your big bore kit, or even just a plain Jane cylinder with a stock piston in it. It's all the same, it's all relative. The only thing it changes is going to be your clearances for your rings, your gaps, and your piston to wall, which is going to be spec based off of your piston that you're using. A lot of this stuff is referenced on our other videos. You can check it out. Again, the minimum you need are these feeler gauges, and it'd be good to have a good set of micrometers. If you can get that bore gauge, this bore gauge, you can get a decent price, I think on Amazon, maybe 130 bucks, I think, and it's got all different adapters for it. Borrow one. And this, again, is if you're doing it all by yourself. If you're just getting a big bore kit from us, the piston to cylinder specs are already going to be done. Most likely the gaps are too. This was obviously to go over everything for you guys who have pulled a cylinder off before, or you're going to check it, or you want to check the run out on it, and all that good stuff. And this is just kind of walking you through everything. So if you have any other questions, comments, or inquiries, be sure to send us an email. You can post up. Please leave a comment on this video. We really appreciate comments. Interact with you guys. Please give a thumbs up if you liked it. And of course, subscribe to our video. We're always trying to do as many of these as we can to help you guys out. And the subscribes helps keep everything going. So, and if you have other questions, just give us a call, send us an email, Facebook, forums, Instagram, Twitter, and of course our website at HardRacing.com.